Hello my friends and welcome to today's video, which is going to be, is that distracting seeing like me in the mirror right there? Should I change the angle just a little? Today's video is going to be prepping for a meal plan for a diabetic. So if you guys saw in my grocery haul video about a week ago or so, I mentioned that Dave's parents are coming to visit for the first time since this whole craziness started, and they are staying for, hold up, 4 days-ish. I hope I have that, 5 days and 4 nights, something along those lines. Dave's dad has diabetes. He is on insulin, and I would like to cater to that a little bit. So I have gone through some recipes, I've gone through the internet, and before I even started, I had a conversation with my mom. So if you wanna see how that conversation went, I will put that in just a second, but as just a small background, my mom is a dietitian who specialized in diabetics and diabetes education. So she's very well versed in the topic, and so I had a conversation with her. You can check that out right here. I'm trying to put together a meal plan for Dave's dad. He has diabetes, you know that. I would love, from your dietitian and diabetes educator background, let everybody know what your credentials are, and then give me some guidelines into, I know you don't know the specifics of him, a range of how many carbs per meal should a type 2 diabetic be eating.
I have been a dietitian since about 1974-5. I worked in hospitals, did a lot of weight loss classes, things like that. Had not worked for a couple of years because I had small children and decided it was time for me to get back into the field. Best job available was for diabetes education. And I wasn't real excited about it, but I thought, well, you know what? If I don't like it, why are you laughing?
Why is that? Why were you like, I don't want to do that?
Experiences with people with diabetes they were not positive.
You had bad experiences.
Yes, so I did not want to do that, but I thought, you know what, let's just give it a try. And I loved it. We are now called Certified Diabetes Care and Education Specialists. I'm also a licensed dietitian.
35 years of experience is what you're bringing to the table.
Give a little disclaimer here. Every person with diabetes should be getting individualized instruction for medication, exercise, lifestyle to prevent complications from diabetes, and then also nutrition. I'm not going to be able to do that because I cannot do that in this venue. This will be basically general information. 15 grams of carb is 1 serving of carb.
Okay, but you're not saying they do 1 serving per meal. You're just...
No.
Okay, just to clarify, you're not saying 15 grams of carbs per meal. You're saying a serving is 15 grams. And depending on the person, they could have 2, 3 servings per meal.
Right. So a general guideline for a woman, for each meal, 3 to 4 servings of carb per meal.
Which is, to translate, 45 to 60 grams of carbs per meal is normal.
Right. That would be appropriate for someone with diabetes. And then if you're going to have any snacks, 1 to 2 servings, so 15 to 30. So let's say somebody's doing the higher end of that. That's 210.
And that would be fine.
Yeah, that would be fine. Now, for a man, in general, you would probably, so I said 3 to 4 for women. For men, it would be 4 to 5.
Okay, so slightly higher.
Conversation with my mom, range of carbs for a diabetic per meal can range from 40 to 60 grams of carbs depending on a lot of factors. Because it's so individualized, it is hard to say like you would be 40 grams, you would be 60 grams. So please don't take what I'm saying or what I'm doing as what you should do as well. Please consult your doctor and a dietitian if you indeed have diabetes. They can help you design a meal plan that's more in line with your specific needs. Now that being said, let me share with you some of the items that I have come up with for the 4/5 days. Okay, I've been taking notes on my little notepad like this. So I found this at Walmart and I have the weekly meal plan on the one side and a shopping list section on the other side. While this is not necessarily for an entire 7 days, I'm not really worried about the other 3 days of the week because I've got freezer meals. I can come up with stuff out of my pantry. Like, my family will get fed, so I don't feel like I need to plan outside of the company that is coming. Breakfasts are unique because they're not big breakfast eaters, but maybe they would want a breakfast here and there. So I am planning on meal prepping a lot of these items. You'll see that in a future video. Breakfast, I'm gonna do those like sous vide egg bites in the Instant Pot. I got little egg bite cups off of Amazon, so I'm really excited to try those out for this meal prep. I'm gonna be making basically a copycat of the Jimmy Dean sausage egg English muffin sandwiches. So I'll just be making a bunch of those and freezing them so they're just easy to pull out. These English muffins that I picked up at my Fran's Bakery outlet in a previous grocery haul have 25 grams of carbs per English muffin. So that's actually right in line with kind of what we're looking for here. I'm gonna try out the keto low carb bagels, the homemade bagels. I'll just make one batch and kind of see how they go. And I'm also going to be attempting a low carb muffin to see if it tastes good at all. We'll kind of see how that goes. In addition to all of those things, he does like eggs and bacon and things like that. So we'll have that on hand, as well as assorted fruits that they are interested in. I know they're big fans of apples, so we'll have lots of apples around. I will say they're not big lunch eaters. So if I can have some low-ish carb bread or tortilla options, probably just do deli sandwiches, something really, really easy for lunches. And here we go, let's move on to dinners. I've said in some of my previous keto videos that I've done, if you haven't seen any of those, I'll leave them down below for if you wanna check them out. Basically, a lower carb way of approaching a meal is basically choose a protein and add lots of veggies and you're good. And so that's kind of how I approached this meal plan as well. So I got those 2 huge briskets. So we're gonna smoke one of the briskets on our smoker. I'm gonna make a cauliflower mash and then do some green beans out of my garden that night. The next night is gonna be this delicious marinated grilled chicken, just like lots of chicken on the bone, because I just feel like it grills way nicer. It's juicier, it's more flavorful. This recipe is from Anne Burrell. If you've never tried her recipes before, she's one of my favorites. Every recipe I've ever tried of hers has turned out well, so I highly recommend. To go alongside that meal, we're gonna do carrot fries and a really beautiful salad with a lot of toppings, so it just doesn't feel like a head of lettuce and that's all. There's this Mexican keto lasagna I made in a keto freezer meal I did a long time ago, and it was actually really, really good. I'm not a fan of traditional lasagna, but I did like the Mexican flair that this one had, with some taco seasoning and some salsa and Mexican style cheese. Everybody in my family was a big fan of it, so I'm gonna be making that as well. I thought that would be a big win. And if you remember the keto hamburger buns that I picked up several grocery hauls ago, if you've been around for a while, they're still in my freezer. What if we just did grilled burgers and used the keto buns? Easy peasy. Some nice corn on the cob. They're huge fans of like grilled corn on the cob, and some broccoli in my air fryer. Boom, dinners. Protein with veggies, and we're finished. It's so easy to do. They do have a sweet tooth, and I did want to cater to that as well. So I found from the Wholesome Yum website, she has this dessert called Sex in a Pan, but it's basically like this chocolate layer dessert thing, but it is sugar-free, low-carb, gluten-free, and we're gonna make that as well. Oh, I'm really excited to see how like this low-carb dessert thing is gonna go, because let me tell you what, I have never really tried to make a low-carb dessert because like, what's the point? If you're gonna eat a cookie, let's eat a cookie, if you know what I'm saying. But they do like sweets, and I wanted to give him options. Tomorrow's video, you are going to see the full grocery haul of everything that I picked up. How much does it cost to eat as a diabetic when you're trying to watch these things, because we're not going to be having pasta or rice or very much bread or anything like that. If you guys have any lower sugar or lower carb desserts that you like as well, hit me up down below. I would really like to try something else. If you've got maybe a low carb option for an apple crisp, I thought that would be really delicious. And I might even have to try a low carb ice cream, because they do love ice cream. So that is my plan. I am off to the stores. I hope you guys have a great weekend, and I'll see you back here tomorrow with the grocery haul. Since I've been hanging around at the end of videos lately, I wanted to show you something. I have this binder, and I keep all of my recipe cards from all of the meal box kits that I've ever got. So I was looking through my last meal box kit with Green Chef that I did, and I was looking through the recipes that I did with Green Chef because they were all keto recipes. I was trying to figure out how to recreate these. So I have that one right there. It's mostly the sauces because the sauces come in a packet that's ready to go. So I need to be able to recreate the sauces. So is there a website that has like Green Chef sauce recreations? I would really like to know. And if you guys are interested in trying out Green Chef, I do have a link below for $80 off your first month if you want to go check it out. Just saying. I will say all the recipes from Green Chef were like delicioso. Oh, Dave, we should do a taco of some kind. I don't know when you stop eating tacos. Like, do the tacos run out, or do you die, or like, I don't know how you stop.
No, that's not right.
No, you're not that
You're
old.
better at math than I am. Come on.
I have quarantine brain.
You don't want to meet with somebody that's going to tell you what to do. You need to be able to work with them so that you can decide together what's going to work best for you.
It sounds to me like the answer is far more complicated than you might find on Google or just a YouTube channel.
Yes, matter of fact, a lot of clients that I've met with in the past, they come in, and I'm not saying that Google or going online and researching some things isn't important. I would absolutely encourage people to do that. Let me give you a couple of websites that have good information. One is the American Diabetes Association, and then also the Association of Diabetes Care and Education Specialists. There's so much information. There is no way to know everything, even for a professional person or a doctor. It's hard to keep up with what's happening in diabetes. There's always new research, new medications, new treatments, but that client will come in and they're so confused. And I don't even like to use the word diet. To me, diet is a four-letter word.
I just think diet is just what you eat.
Yes, and that's what it should be, but it's
become something else.
It has a negative connotation now.
Yes.
And so I typically don't like to use that word. I use meal plan or food plan. Let me just also very quickly, the reason we don't want to do a diet, and especially a very restrictive diet for not only diabetes, for anything else, but diet is the number one risk factor for eating disorders. People can do vegan, they can do Mediterranean diet, they can do DASH diet, which is the dietary approaches to stop hypertension. Mm-hmm. That one has been used with very, success for people. And I forgot what I wanted to say.
Okay, that's okay. If you remember it later, just...
Studies have shown that most people, if they change their eating style, eating habits drastically, it's not typically sustainable. At some point, they're going to drift back to how they normally like to eat. So if you're a person that eats quite a bit of carbohydrate during the day, and I'm not saying that doesn't mean it's bad. You can eat a lot of carbs from starchy vegetables, grains, pastas, fruits, bowls, things like that. So just because you're eating a lot of carb, that doesn't mean you're eating bad, not healthy.
Right. So
very
you're
healthy.
saying carbs inherently are not bad.
Exactly. Carbs are not bad. They're not the enemy.
Gotcha.
Fat is not the enemy. You actually need protein, fat, carbohydrate. You need all those things to have a healthy, balanced intake of foods. Now, are there healthier carbs? Yes. Are they healthier fats? Yes. Studies have also shown that people can eat varying amounts of carbohydrate with success. They can do a very low carb, and it seems to work for some people, and they can do very well on controlling their blood sugar, lipid profile, and so forth. People can eat more carb and be able to do the same thing.
It just depends on the person.
It just depends on the person, what works for them. Everybody's different.
Grams of carb number that you would consider low carb.
Well, in the past, we kind of went with the number of about 100 grams per day. That we don't really use that anymore. But for me, as a dietitian, I would say anything below 100 is getting, I wouldn't call that super low, but I would say we're getting into the lower carb. Very, very low carb is anywhere from 20 to maybe 50 or 70. that I would consider that low, very low carb.
Okay. I remember a time where I was trying to stick to about 190 grams of carbs a day, like kind of like a cutting diet, sort of. And I remember you being like, that's low.
Yeah.
Like it was 190 and you were like, that's really low. So are you saying 190 is low for an athlete or?
Well, just because I know you're so active and you're still fairly young. I mean, you're not 40 yet, right?
Nope.
Yeah. So you're still fairly young. You're very active.
If you had to guess, how many grams of carbs do you think you eat a day right now?
Ew.
I bet mine is so high, people would be shocked.
Yeah, mine is too, because I can't eat. I've tried to do lower carb. Yeah. Like maybe 1 or 2 servings of carb per meal, and I just feel
awful.
Awful.
Yeah.
Absolutely awful. Carbohydrate is your energy source. And for me, that's what I'm used to doing for my energy source is eating carbohydrate. And of course I eat protein and fat too, but yeah, if I eat a meal without carb, I just feel so
unsatisfied
and
sluggish.
Like sluggish,
yep.
Tired.
Yep. So I don't know if I told you this, but I looked up an online master's degree in sports nutrition.
Oh, okay. Wow.
I could start in October.
Oh my gosh, that is super exciting.
I'm trying to decide how badly I want the stress.
Yes.